Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and today we're with Dave Silver. He's the CEO of Rec Philly, a creative space for artists and musicians who want to go into a space where they can create and monetize their artwork. And their saying is no more starving artists, right? So they want to be able to empower artists to be able to make money from their work and create more for people and be able to create a sustainable career for themselves and others. So, Dave, thanks for being on here.
Thanks, man. Yeah, our main saying is independent doesn't mean alone.
Independent doesn't. You have a couple sayings, but
that's
also
our main
good.
one. That's the trademarked one.
Okay, trademarked one. I guess that's important. Dave's also one of my closest friends, and we hang out a lot together. So today, to be able to have a conversation with you on recording is always really fun, because whenever I try to record anything with you, you don't like it or try to run away. So now you're trapped in this room.
Yeah. Well, Matt likes recording when we're like 30,000 feet on a mountain and I'm exhausted, about to pass out. So this is much more comfortable.
And I agreed to give you a ride to your sister's house. Yes. This is kind of on the way. So all right, I guess I'll record this podcast.
Hey, convenience. And I appreciate being on here.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time hiking together and we both not grew up as entrepreneurs, but became friends through entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So we both went to Temple University.
To you?
To you, yeah. And we both were in the same fraternity, which is now a disgraced fraternity, which maybe we won't really talk about.
So, there you go. Just throw it right in there.
Just throw it right out there. And the main way that we bonded, well, I guess two, was one, like we were both starting a business and had no idea what the hell we were doing.
For sure.
And the second thing is we both love the nature and outdoors. And I think I might have introduced you to that, and we became to love it together.
Yeah.
But being a young entrepreneur, especially in college, you started your business, Rec Philly, during that time. Now, it wasn't called Rec Philly. It's not even close to what it is now. But can you tell us about a little bit, some background, how it started and where you're at now?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and the whole nature adventure influence came through your friendship, which is now how I define myself. So I've always appreciated our relationship, going from just meeting in college to being one of my closest friends. And we can jam more on that later. But yeah, back in college, in the basement, we were looking for opportunity to perform. My best friends were music artists, and here I am as a social chair in our fraternity. And one of my, beyond being in school and getting a degree, the thing I was trying to do on the side was make a career with my best friends from high school in the music and the video world. And what does it look like to be, we're watching Entourage, and how does our group, have a successful career? Obviously not trying to be Vinny, but I want to be, what does it look like?
You want to be Turtle.
I want to be
Ari Gold. Okay. I like how I think of you as Turtle, and you think of yourself as Ari Gold.
No, but that's a similar story to so many folks of you see success in the entertainment industry and you feel like you have those skills and talents. I thought my best friends were talented enough to be successful in music and in video, and I wanted to be a conduit to that success. I wanted to play my role in that. And here we are in college. I'm social chair, where we have an opportunity to transform our basement into an event venue, and have the ability to draw an audience of college students to bond over live music, free beer, free entrance, and so those resources were available while we were in school, and saw that opportunity to turn a space into a venue. And then we branded that venue, and we did it consistent enough where my friends were performing. We were meeting people who wanted to perform. We were getting the word out on the street all around campus. And next thing you know, we had a Thursday night. Every Thursday was the place to be. We branded it Broad Street Music Lounge. This is back in 2011, 2012. So we're talking over 10 years ago. And really took that energy out of the basement, did it around the city for 5 years, throwing those music showcases and talent showcases for local creaters.
So you just used the basement of the fraternity as a music venue.
It was our first venue that we're people will come. People are hungry for performance opportunities. That was the people who were coming and performing at our shows. And then people wanted things to do on a Thursday night in Philadelphia, and we were providing like a quality music showcase at a bar that was giving us an opportunity to take the stage. We first started on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights because those are the dead nights in venues around the city, and leverage like, hey, I'll fill your dead bar on a Monday with 80 college students that are coming out to see live music. And we did that for 5 years. We booked over 1,000 shows, and that eventually turned into the community that is Rec Philly today.
So you were really just trying to support your friends who were musicians and artists, but you weren't an artist.
Yeah, I wanted to be like the manager, the event planner. I wanted to make things happen. I'd go and knock on sponsor doors and create whatever deals we can possibly do and try to sell a creative community. We had a bunch of talented folks that were videographers, DJs, performers, and I knew that brands around the city, Comcast, startups, they wanted like a piece of the action. So that was like the beginning of a business model, was like, here are local businesses, here are local performers, there's some sort, and we're filling up rooms with people. There's got to be some way where we can all, benefit each other. So we were kind of putting these puzzle pieces together. And eventually in 2015, doing all these shows, my business partner, my co-founder, one of my best friends from high school, Will Toms, goes, this is all great, but what about space? Like, events are awesome, these opportunities are awesome, but what if everyone had just a common space to go to be able to take the momentum from a show and do something with their career? Like, so many things, so many artists were like, how do I do PR? How do I get access to studio time? And just like, maybe we just need a place where we can all talk about it and share resources. And this is, again, back in 2015. So now we're coming up to 10 years on the idea of space. So our space now at 9th and Market is a 10,000 square foot version of that idea of what does it mean to have space to access the people, the conversations, the equipment, just some quality resources to do whatever it is you love, whether you're a painter, a songwriter, or sometimes a karate instructor who just who needs a meeting room to take a Zoom while they're in Center City. So, that's where we're at now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a member, I think, forever from the beginning.
Since
even
the
though
warehouse.
I'm not your target demographic,
Sure.
right? But I mean, I love using the space because I can talk to the other artists there and be like, hey, what do you think about this graphic? Or what do you think about these words I'm using? And usually when I'm asking people that, it's like other stuffy business people, and they don't really think creatively. But this gives me the opportunity to give it to someone else who's going to look at it from a completely different lens.
Yeah.
And I know when you started to where you are now is totally different in terms of like the business model, what you even call it. But then it was the Broad Street Music Group, and there was some other like rival group that was also called Broad Street Music Group.
I mean, that's totally a ridiculous story. It was a group of like 50-year-old men that were in the Philadelphia hip hop scene for a long time.
Yeah.
And this was, again, back in 2012.
Yeah.
And just had the same name. They didn't have a legal like entity behind the name, so we didn't see that when we were doing our thing. That was a very small blip in the radar of the journey.
So what happened? What did these guys do to you?
They did literally nothing. It was a phone call, and that was the end of it.
What did they say? Did they threaten you? That's what I thought.
Know.
I thought they called you. I remember you being very scared.
Maybe.
You say that now, but I feel like you were terrified. Okay. It was like a bunch of 50-year-old men from like North Philly that you were like, oh, I don't know these people.
I think they threatened to come to one of our events, and like one of our many events, there was one time where like they might be showing up here. Honestly, it was a very small blip. I haven't thought about that in quite some time.
I'm still scared. So if I wear my Broad Street Music Group shirt anywhere in my old one, I'm terrified.
Sure.
So how's the business changed from when you first started to now?
I mean, Broad Street Music Group is a totally different business, just with the same mission, which is to empower creators and try to make money doing what you love. But Broad Street Music was events. We eventually transitioned to where the space and coming to the space was the business model, which became a membership. It's at some point, the warehouse space that we took up became everything for us. It became the community. It became our own event space. And people were essentially paying rent to be there. So we just kind of switched like chipping up for rent to just paying membership dues. In a warehouse in North Philly at 9th and Dauphin, we had 100 people essentially paying rent, like $50 a month. We're like, why don't we just convert this into a membership model and freshen up the space a little bit more and see where that takes us. Yeah. And those 100 people, we now have 1,000 active members in Philadelphia that are paying their dues and coming to the space for studio time or the events or whatever it is. But that whole idea about the the businesses initially, right? Where we knew that brands wanted to be a part of what we had going on. Just the creative community is so influential and so impactful and deeply rooted in like a creator in a city's economy, that brands want to be a part of it. So we were able to leverage that idea of brands being a part of the creator community and have built an agency all around that as well. So that our business model is a little bit of the members, a little bit of businesses coming together. And then what's that look like at scale, and not just Philadelphia, but other markets as well.
So you're talking about brands like Yamaha or something like that, or Ticketmaster.
Yeah, Cash App, Comcast, Live Nation, brands that want to be relevant within the creator economy.
Okay, so they'll sponsor certain things because you have artists and they want to be connected with those artists.
There's some like obvious like advertising, right? People want to, why does the Lincoln Financial Field, like why does Lincoln Financial have the field? It's because they want to put their brand in front of a certain demographic of people. And so same for us, like who are the brands that want to be in front of creators? We try to create moments where they're getting in front of them in an authentic way. We're adding value to our members' lives. Like Cash App will sponsor like 3 of our members, like their dues on their membership, and they become a Cash App ambassador. So now they're creating content about Cash App. They're getting a free membership. It's like a win-win all around. So how do we create those win-win moments in the form of like whether it's advertising or it's getting Comcast who needs a videographer or who needs a podcast producer or who needs whatever the skill set is, they're probably our members. It doesn't happen with you. I don't have brands like, hey, do you have a karate instructor? But, well, if someone came to me and said, hey, we're looking for a motivational speaker or someone that speaks on successful business practices, and you're a member, I go, oh, well, here's a log of some of our best people for that. So we do that every day, but specifically for creative services and just getting our members paid. It's not like I do the work or one of my partners does the work. It's our members who perform the work, and we just try to find who finds that valuable in the business community.
And one of the things I think is so impressive about you that I think most people don't realize is like how much of like a relentless CEO you are, right? You were doing stuff in the basement in a frat, and now it's 10 years later, and you're still not. You're in obviously a much better place, but not near where you want to be. But you don't ever quit, and like we have so many conversations, whether when we're hiking or going for a walk, or whether it's during a ping pong match or I'm kicking your ass.
Yeah, right.
That you're just tenacious, right? You like never go. So I guess my question is like, you have so many connections, right, in the business world now through
a lot of
all the work, a lot of relationships, right? Like to these big brands, and they know you, they love you, and at any moment you could probably just fold the whole thing and get a pretty good job, like a really like a decent to great paying job at one of these big brands. But you stick to the mission at Rec. You stick to your people.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, like, how do you do that when you have a one side, like, okay, I can really make a lot of money as like a stable position where I don't have to worry about, all the different variables in a business, and you just don't take that bait.
I mean, it's about the vision first and foremost. It's like, what is the goal? Why did I do this in the first place? So it's just like it's about an end game, which is to build the business around the globe, to be impactful to creators around the globe. So until we've done that, we're not at the end. So why did I start? You start things to get to the finish line. You don't start a race to stop in the middle. So I feel like we're far, far, far from the finish line, like you mentioned, far from where I want to be personally or with the business. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of impact to be made. It's extremely challenging, but it's extremely rewarding. I've had the corporate job right out of college, knew that wasn't the rewarding life I was looking for.
Oh, yeah. I remember you were working that job and doing Rec at the same time and how tough that was.
Yeah.
But like, what I want to know is, how do you act? Like, what do you do to either stay in the right mindset or just keep going? Because most entrepreneurs, they're super excited in the beginning, right? They're like, hey, it's going to be great. I'm going to open up this business. It's going to be awesome. And then the first 6 months are really excited. Enthusiasm kind of gets them through. And then the 6 months after that to the next couple of years are usually like shit. Yeah, man. Right? They're really difficult.
Yeah, the shit's not for the weak-hearted.
Yeah, and you've been in shit for much longer.
Still in shit.
Still in lots of shit. Many years of shit. And you just keep fighting. Yeah. So, and most people just give up. And usually it's like right when you're about to give up, or you give up. If you would have just kept on going another 6 months or a year, you would have been fine.
We've been on our last leg 10 times.
Yeah.
Right. You got to take it to the next day.
So how do you do that though? Do you read? Is it like hiking? Like what is it that you do to keep going?
Yeah. I mean, you do need that mental health, motivation, consistency. Like you need to be healthy, you know, physically. You need to be healthy emotionally and mentally as best as possible, because it's going to just really drag you down if you let it drag you down.
Yeah.
I've been dragged down. It's been a tremendous toll on my stress. Definitely in my mid-20s when
you lost your hair. You paid a big
I
price.
am bald. I am bald. And like probably would still have a full head of hair if I just chose an easy job that I enjoyed. But I'll take that sacrifice and I'll take more in a lot of ways. But yeah, man, you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe in the vision. You have to have people around you who believe in it as well and who you really care about. And you have to care about the impact that you're going to make. You know, for us, it was so relatable. We did it for us. I didn't like see an opportunity in the market and try to build something around the opportunity in the market. Right? People are talking about the creator economy now. It's the fastest growing this, and people are building businesses to serve this like trendy growth opportunity. There was no creator economy 12 years ago. There was no buzzword of that when we started. We were solving our problem, and I'm still solving our own problem to this day. We're still trying to just create that platform for the homies to get paid. And we have so many talented people in our community, and there's so much opportunity on the table for them. You know, we were going through some shit this past weekend, and where I'm thinking about, man, is this worth the challenge? And I said it out loud because I was really in a tough spot. We are in a tough spot. We're in a tough economy. I run a 10,000 square foot space. Like if you know anything about the real estate market, like it's expensive as shit. And the economy is not pointing in a positive direction for our business model. It's not the easiest of days. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, is this worth it? And I said it out loud to someone and I almost got smacked in the face, literally, because who would I be to quit? And how many lives would be impacted in the future if I decided to quit? Mm. And that was an amazing reminder of like, I have a responsibility because I know it's possible at this point, and I know my team can be the ones to do it. So I have a responsibility to live that out. So when I go through shit, I just think about that final outcome in a lot of ways. And I just know that you put a positive intention out and you just take one step forward, like that's every day. That's a consistent thing. So that's kind of like on the positive mindset shift is where I'm at. But in reality, it's about having good habits and a good way to just balance yourself out, like work real hard during the day. And then like you can't beat yourself up at night. You got to be able to switch it up. Watch the Phils, watch the Eagles, enjoy life, and then come back and do hard work. And like you do your best while you're doing the hard work. Enjoy your life also in a nice integration between work and life. And like you can't be too hard on yourself because I was hard on myself. I get rejected a ton doing investment, business pitches. You let the rejections get to you.
Yeah, we've had a lot of those conversations where you're like, hey, I'm getting rejected nonstop for the past 6 months. I just need a win.
Yeah, just need a win.
Just need a win.
Yeah, it's important you get those wins.
And I know when there's been multiple times in your career, and usually I would ask these questions, but I know so much about you. I feel like, hey, this is a cool topic. You open up this 10,000 square foot facility in downtown Philadelphia, and then COVID happens.
3 months later.
3 months later. First of all, can we talk about how much rent is in downtown Philadelphia at 10,000?
Yeah, you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in rent.
Okay, so you're paying hundreds of dollars a year, and you're also serving like your market is a poor artist, right? So these are people that just
I wouldn't say that as a fact. It's,
okay, sometimes it is.
We market to artists and creatives who want to do this full time. Many of them are struggling to pay their bills right now.
Right. Yeah. So you're trying to help them create a career out of it, right? So a lot of times they don't necessarily have lots of discretionary funds.
For sure.
Right. So for them, an investment is like, hey, I'm making an investment in my career.
Yeah, we have to be a need to these people. And that's like our biggest business challenge. Like we want to be so valuable to the creator and to who we serve. And throughout the pandemic, it's like, oh, our retainment isn't 100%. Like, how can we be more valuable? Are we even valuable to these people? Like, do they need what we're even offering? And then we see the real life case studies of how we're impacting people's lives, and we know that it's there. Sometimes we have to do better storytelling. Sometimes we need to tighten up our training to make sure everyone's delivering the service and the product that we set out for. But yeah, just trying to be valuable to these people because there's not a lot of discretionary money going around. And these people have to choose between paying their Spotify subscription or an investment in a subscription to Rec. So it's just making sure that they understand the value.
Yeah, I remember there was some loan you had due,
Mm-hmm.
and it was some like massive amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
and you have all your members that can't use the space, and your whole business is built on the space,
Yeah.
and COVID just happened, and this mall was like just built. So for them, it was like what you're doing. Like for them, it was like probably times like 100 because they just had all these retail stores.
It's a 4-city block mall that opened 5 months before the pandemic, $1 billion project.
Yeah, and I remember you and I were talking, and you're like, yeah, dude, like if I don't find a way for them to extend my loan where I can pay it off later, we're going to have to close on Monday.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my, it was like Thursday. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
I've had 3 moments in the last two since the pandemic where we were going to be closed on Monday.
And what happened?
You figure it out. You make sure that you treat your relationships appropriately. That way, when you need a favor or you need an extension or you need them to reason with you during tough times, that they cut you a break. One of those times, we ended up getting our investment to literally clear that weekend. We were trying to get an investment for literally 18 months. And we were
Trying to get over the finish line.
trying to get our investment opportunity over the finish line. But in the meantime, we were like running out of cash. The pandemic crushed us. Cash flow was tough, and our loan was due, and like we couldn't pay it without our investment to clear. 18 months trying to get it. Monday, our space was going to close from a loan officer. That weekend, the investment finally cleared.
God damn.
Like it comes down to that sometimes.
No wonder why you lost all your hair.
Well, my hair was already gone before that. A couple of years of being bald.
I mean, that's just so crazy. I think it's, once again, it just shows how relentless you are, because you've had so many moments where people would give up, and not just saying like, oh, look how like relentless he is in general. Like there is a long list of proof of evidence of like, this is so difficult. I can get this. If I wanted to, I'd go do something else, but I don't, because you stay true to the mission. I think that's super cool. And for so many years, like we're talking about over a decade.
Over a decade now, which is fucking crazy.
It's so long.
It's really crazy.
And the business has transformed so many times. I think people have an idea of like when they want to start a business, like what it's going to look like exactly. But you and I have had so many conversations where, oh, we started like this, and oh, we transformed what our focus is, and then we're going to get members this way. Actually, we're going to get members through corporate sponsorships and this and that. And it's changed so many times, and like that's okay. Like it's allowed to change. I mean, the business I had with when we met was I was selling hookahs, right? I had a company called, most people don't know about this, Elephant Hookahs.
Yeah.
So what we did is we would take liquor bottles, like let's say Jack Daniels or Grey Goose. We would drill a hole through the bottle with a diamond drill bit that I bought on Craigslist, and then like at like midnight in like Manayunk. I bought it from like this old lady on Craigslist, and like she like opened the trunk and there's this big giant drill press, and like didn't know what I was doing. My partner and I, Josh. So then we went home. We started drilling bottles, right? And I remember we were drilling glass. Okay,
What are you doing?
I have no idea how to drill glass. I've never,
What are we
you know,
doing?
I'm like Jewish. I've never like used my hands for work for anything,
Come on,
right?
Don't put us down again.
Okay, well, I haven't. My family doesn't. So we're drilling glass. We can't figure out how to do it the right way. So every bottle's breaking. And then eventually we figure out how to do it. I remember at that time we were renting an apartment. We were in college, and the sink is just filling up with shredded glass.
God.
I'm like, there's no way in hell we're getting our deposit back for this place.
What a time.
And we ended up selling some hookahs, like individual people, and then we got a big, over the course of like 6 months to a year, we would like just set up tables at Temple, like set up a table and just have like hookahs out, and we didn't have permission. I didn't get a permit, and I would just do it, and then until someone told me to leave, and then when they leave, I would leave, right? Yeah. And I got a big order from a store in Houston, Texas, and they wanted like 26 hookahs, and I was like, oh crap! I'm like, I don't know if I can fulfill this order. Yeah. And it was cool though, because the hookah was like, I think better than any other one, because like now the fact that I'm a karate teacher and do martial arts, and I was like selling like a smoking device is almost like embarrassing. But the cool thing about it is I had let's say I had a glass stem through the middle. So usually a hookah will be like a metal stem, but like there's no metal bongs, right? Like it's glass because it's like pure, right? So we had like a pure smoking method for hookah, and like for when I grew up, a lot of Israelis smoke hookah, and like a lot of my friends were Jewish and Israeli, so that's what they did. So it was like a very common thing. Like their parents would do it, and they'd be at all these events. So I did that business for maybe 6 months to a year. I got this big order, and then I spoke with an attorney,
Can't do
and
that.
yeah, they're like, you can't use other people's brands as your
Definitely not.
product.
Definitely
And I'm
not.
like, okay, what if I take off the label, like the Jack Daniels label?
Nah.
Like, they have a pen on the shape of the bottle,
Yeah.
so you can make some money, like pocket money, if you want, but this it can't be a
Yeah.
sustainable business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let me do martial arts. That's what I know and love.
Let me just go do martial arts.
Yeah, let me just sell bugs.
Yeah,
No.
that was a good time in our lives while you were producing those hookahs.
It was very fun.
I was a consumer.
You were a consumer, yeah. One of the most fun parts, honestly, was two things. One was going to parties and collecting the bottles afterwards because they're very valuable. So we go to like other frat parties and it's just like clean up. So they
Steal
liked
their
it.
alcohol.
Well, there's no alcohol in it at the time.
Yeah.
But we would take the bottles, and then two, doing like shoots.
Yeah.
I would just get like hot girls on campus, like, hey, can you do like a modeling shoot for us? And they would be like, yeah, sure. Like any girl was like, not any girl, but like, most people, I guess, would want high quality photos of themselves. We
Of
get
course.
some photographer to come, and
Yeah.
so it looked really, really cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed those shoots as well.
Yeah. So, were you in it? Were you one of the
No.
models? No. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe bald Dave would get in there, but hair Dave was not as good.
way too. Wasn't the right fit.
But anyway, the whole point is that like my business career has changed,
Yeah.
right? Like I went from selling hookahs, and then I opened up a martial arts school, and then I opened up. Then I started doing consulting, and then I opened up a couple other locations that I'm working on. And it's okay if it changes from what it was in the beginning. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You have to adjust and be malleable in order to survive,
Yeah.
right? And one of the ways that you and I guess, stay flexible is spending a lot of time in nature,
Yeah.
right? Like, well, not I want to say a lot of time, but like very specific focus time. So you and I, we like to go hiking. We have a big national park trip we do every year, plus a lot of like filler hikes in between around Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Yeah.
So what is it specifically as I guess from an entrepreneurial perspective? What is it you like about the outdoors and hiking?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We've been doing the national park trips for close to 10 years as well. And every year it comes at such an important time for me mentally, where it's like we usually do them in like around the beginning of the fall, and I've just went through the whole, first 6 to 8 months of the year, and I'm feeling pretty drained mentally and probably running into some business challenge. And I always look forward to those hikes because I know I'll be able to think clearly, think differently, like be out in nature where some folks think the best in any setting. And so I always look forward to those trips because I know I'm going to get some sort of refreshed moment for myself. Maybe not come up with like an epiphany, though those are the great moments for it. It's just like I know I'll have time to think to myself, relate to the world, and
No phone service.
Yeah, and appreciate the world and appreciate how big the world is and how challenging things are. And so one, just look forward to that. It's such a great mental milestone in the year, knowing that I'll have that moment to refresh. So having something to look forward to and like that kind of trip and adventure is always great. And then the trip itself, the hiking itself, like I've never really enjoyed hiking, for just hiking. It's like really challenging. Definitely some of the hikes that we do, like talking hours, 6, 8, 12 hours. We're talking miles, like 6, 8, 12 miles each time, going straight up, elevation, rocks, climbing, coming down is even the harder part, on your body and your feet. And like to find the moments of joy through those hikes is like, to me, reminiscent of finding the joy through the challenge of building a business, right? It's not all going to be easy. And for the most part, a lot of people are like, why are you doing that in the first place? It seems way easier to drive to the top of the mountain than to hike through the woods and be scared you're going to get lost and scared that this is going to happen and scared eaten by a bear. It's like, it's very relatable to the entrepreneurship journey. The hike, where, at what points in the hike do you get to appreciate what you're doing? like that you're out in a beautiful landscape on a beautiful planet, seeing some of the most amazing sights, having time for yourself. And then you get to the top of the hike, or you get to the climax of the hike, and you get to sit there and reflect and laugh and create these moments, all reminiscent. So like, that's why I love it, is because it helps me remind myself to think positively, find those moments of joy, the reflection, enjoy when you're at the top, but also like enjoy when you get back to the bottom. Like, so many comparisons that like you can make just outside looking in, but I also really compare it while we're hiking, which is a great way to think about, just self-development and bonding and things like that.
Yeah, I love the mystery of it. Like, I love like entrepreneurship. Like, you go into this trail, okay, or you start this new business venture, and once you're in that park, there's no one going to help you, right? If like a bear comes, by the way, if you've like not really into hiking, it's so rare to see a bear. In fact, we get super excited to see a bear.
Yeah, let's see the bears.
And if you're in like a main big park, they're not going to bother you. So besides that besides that article I just said where the two people were mauled by a bear in Canada. But besides them, it's very, very, very rare. And if you do see one, it's usually out in the distance. But like, when you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business, no one's going to save you, right? Like, you just got to figure out things on your own. And when you're out hiking, you got to just figure out, like, there's this like mystery. I go out to this park, no park ranger's going to save you if you slip off a cliff or you see some kind of animal. Like, no, it's like, it's up to you to survive. You have to have enough water, which by the way is not that difficult. You just fill up your bottle. Like, you just fill up your bag with as much water as you possibly can and just go out. But like, that sense of mystery and excitement is always, and not knowing what's around each corner, right? Like, you turn a different corner and there's this like big open expanse. I remember this one hike we went on where we were traversing on the side of like just like rolling hills. It wasn't even super high, but then at the end there was this like there was this part where it's kind of steep, and we got to the top where we looked down into this valley, and this one valley had so much wind. What do you remember? What park that was?
Oh yeah, Montana and Glacier.
Maybe it was Glacier National Park, and it had so much wind. Yeah, you could stand there like you're on the edge of the Titanic or something, and the wind would blow so hard you wouldn't fall over, right? And if you had like maybe a wingsuit, you could probably like whip you off the mountain. Yeah, and it was only right there in that one spot.
Take a step back, it stops being so windy. Put your head in, just
it was nuts.
The mystery.
The mystery part of it is very cool. What was your favorite hike or favorite park?
Yeah, I mean, one, I just want to reflect on the mystery, because that is like, I don't even look up the hike. I don't even want to know what the views look like. I don't. You help prepare by looking at the reviews, but I just like stay back because I love every turn and what's going to be at the top, or is it a top? Is it a lake? Is it a what is going to be that moment of like, wow. Because it takes your breath away. No matter what it is, when you go definitely on a national park trip, you're going to get a wow moment. But like, the world surprises you of how like it can present that to you. So I'm always on the personal enjoyment side, just always looking forward to like what's going to be that like moment of like, wow, this is beautiful. Favorite hikes, I love the unique adventures that hikes offer. A lot of people think it's just like, you're at the top, you're at the bottom, you got to hike to the top. You're going to follow a trail. You'll get there.
Yeah, there's some trees, some woods.
It's all going to look the same. And like, there's plenty of hikes that are like that if you just do, abundance of hikes. But some of the ones we do in the national park, you're like, you're going through a canyon in water, or like you got to use your hands and pull yourself up.
Let's talk about specifically, because like some are.
So that's Zion in National Park.
Yeah,
the Narrows is definitely top 3 of the dozens and dozens we've done.
For sure.
Where it's not up and down. You're just walking straight through a canyon, right? Huge boulders on the left and right, and then you're walking through very shallow waters, but sometimes the water gets a little higher depending on where you're at, and you're wearing these water shoes, and you're kind of
we weren't just wearing water shoes,
a whole suit.
We rented this like suit at the park
water
office.
Suit.
Yeah, they would go up to like probably like your chest or something.
Yeah, it's like an apron or
at like fishing.
Yeah,
people probably do it for like fishing or something. And I remember we got there like 6 a.m. or something, 6:30, so real early. We arrived there 6 or 6:30.
Yeah.
And then we started hiking through this, and like you said, canyon walls and the sun reflecting off the rocks, all these beautiful colors. Yeah. And it was not just like a hiking trail through the woods. This is like you're hiking up a small like river, I guess, or
you're hiking through the canyons, like
in water.
And it's like these like little lakes. And my favorite part about that was it was all well and good. It was such a beautiful hike, such an interesting hike. But I loved when we got to the end where like let's go check out with that where that goes. And it was like off trail. And here we are like hiking through water through these canyons, like off trail. And next thing you know, the water got so it went. I felt back to the Titanic. I felt like we were in the Titanic, and it was like just up at our eyes, and we're like trying to like figure out like, like how to like do this trail here with the water like literally almost over our heads, wearing these like big suits, and that was so fun. We were like going under the water, under the rocks to like keep going through the trail, and that was such an adventure. And you didn't really know like what was going on.
And that goes back to the mystery of like,
Yeah.
okay, you don't know where your business is going to lead you, what's around each turn, and for some people that's scary and a deterrent, but really that's what motivate you, because that's what's so exciting.
It's a beautiful thing
That's the
about
best
life
part.
is you don't know what opportunities will unfold by you just putting it out there. Like,
Yeah.
man, if we get the word out there and kind of put what we care about into the universe, like people receive that and can unlock doors, unlock opportunities, and like it's thrilling to know that something huge could happen if you just keep taking that next step.
So you said yours, which is the Narrows in
Mhm.
Zion National Park, which is a great one. It's
Yeah.
definitely top three
Yeah.
in terms of like how unique it was. I'm going to talk about one we just recently did,
Mhm.
which was in Utah. Is it Utah? Yeah.
The Fiery Furnace.
Yeah. That's Utah.
Yeah, it was Utah.
Yeah. So it's called Fiery Furnace, and it's, what's the park called? Oh my God.
Was that Arches or Canyonland?
That was Arches.
I think it was Canyonland.
No. It was Arches.
Okay.
Yeah. So Arches National Park.
Yeah.
Okay, in Utah. So southeast Utah, about a half hour out of Moab. So this park was so cool. And the reason it was cool is because you had to get a permit to hike this trail. Now, most national parks now, especially since COVID, you have to get a permit to do like some of the most major popular trails because they get overcrowded.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I was very annoyed about that because a lot of these are like a lottery system, and you have to like win this lottery to go on this trail, and
Yeah.
it's like so stupid and annoying.
Hard to plan.
Yeah, really difficult to plan. You plan it 3, 6, 12 months out. And this hike, because I know that I wanted to do it, like, and I planned these pretty far out in advance, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this ticket to go. So we got the lottery for it, and I also didn't want to see any pictures or anything about it. So, but I knew that they required that we go to the park office to get the ticket instead of just, oh, I bought it online, I'll show up. So we go to the park office, and they bring us into a back room, and they sit us down, and they make us watch a video. Now, like, usually when you watch a video to do something, it's like skydiving or rafting or some sort of crazy extreme adventure activity. Like, I don't need to watch a video to know how to go for a hike.
Yeah, they really gave us like a how-to to do this hike.
Yeah.
It's not out of the box.
Yeah, it's not out of the box. And I remember they were showing the video, and I was purposely not watching the
Right.
video because I don't want to see the views.
Yeah.
I want to be surprised. And you know, when I research, I look at the reviews of people say. I look at a couple photos and see like what's most popular, what's going to be maybe have not as many people in it, but I try to avoid as many pictures as I can. Especially, I might look at pictures maybe 6 months in advance, but as it gets closer, I don't look at any because I
Yeah.
want to be surprised. So we watch this video, and basically what the lady says is that, hey, this is a different hike than usual because there's no trails.
Right.
There's no beginning and there's no end. And we're like, that's crazy. So a lot of people run out of water in this one, or they just get lost. So essentially you get like dropped in to almost like an escape room.
Like a maze.
Like a maze,
Yeah.
like a nature maze.
Yeah.
And you just go.
Yeah. You're just trying
And-
to look for openings to keep progressing through the trail until you get to your car.
Yeah. And you just keep going, and it's just so cool because I felt like a little kid.
Yeah,
I felt like a little kid just exploring.
Like, oh, I'm
right?
gonna climb up this rock because it might be the way to go.
'Cause it's a rock.
I'm gonna climb through this like little divot in the rock because it's the only way it seems to go. Get to use our hands and boost each other up. That was my favorite part. Where like we had to
Where
like
you grabbed my butt. That was your
when it
favorite
was
part.
firm on the cheeks. Yeah, just like yo, like grab my arm, like yo, I'll help you, like reach over there. Like that is like the camaraderie and the challenge.
Oh, there was that one very steep part. So also this trail, I think that was a different, whatever. There was many parts of the trail, especially in these parks, Arches and Canyon lands, that you had to really use your hands and feet to get up.
Yeah.
It's called not canyoneering. What do we call that again?
Shuffle or
I forget what it is. You call
yeah.
it scrambling.
Scrambling, yeah, that's what you
Scrambling.
said,
You
yeah.
have to use your hands and feet.
Yeah.
And the trail, obviously this one didn't have any trails, but even the other ones, not all the trails were super well marked. So we'd go the wrong way.
Yeah.
And we're going up some spots like, this does not look
this
very
is really,
safe.
really hard.
If Rhonda finds out about this.
Yeah, my mom out of this.
So, but anyway, we're fine. We're all supporting and help each other. But I remember like we had to like grab hands
Yeah,
and
it was
lift each
awesome.
other up and
That's
like
my favorite
lean back. And it's just so exhilarating and so fun.
Yeah.
And the flip side of that, because there's no specific destination, also because we have a group of like 5 or 6 people and everyone has a different idea on where to go, then there starts to be a little bit of bickering, right?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go this way. No, we need to go that way. And like no one really knows. It's all a guess. No one's ever been there before. Everything kind of looks the same when you look each direction. And that was fun too, because we'd be like arguing, but no one knew. And like, we'd follow some person's direction and then you would walk for 100 yards and like a lot of work scrambling up stuff. And then you'd be at a dead end and you have to do that same thing back and then go another direction, which is frustrating as hell.
Yeah.
Right. And like, how many times have someone told you a path in entrepreneurship, hey, do this, and you do it. And then you're like, oh crap, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, sure. We'll give this a try and, we'll have to backtrack if it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. You got to change all your systems again. It's a giant pain in the ass. Yes. But then you get to look at that person that showed you that way when you're hiking. Go, see, I told you.
Well, luckily, your sister was always right.
That's what she thinks. She thinks she's always right. And it's usually like, I remember we got to this one point where, so we're all arguing like crazy. Not like, just I would say bickering more than arguing. And then I'm like, hey, I want to see what's around that corner. And we were pretty tired and like hot. Yeah. It was very hot. There was no shade where we were.
Yeah, well, you're like, let's go see that arch that we already passed by accident. And we're like, I don't know if I want to go all the way back.
Yeah,
there.
We did enough. It's fine. Yeah. No big deal. Like we don't need to keep going. And I'm like, you guys can stay here if you want. Let me walk up. And I think you and I walked up there. And so we walk up and we go through this like really narrow canyon. Or I guess, I don't know if it's a canyon, but whatever. We walk through it. And there's this like beautiful rock arch. It was called Hidden Arch, I think, right? Or Secret Arch or something. And it's all shaded and it's just, there's no one there. Yes. So even this whole trail, they only allow 40 people in a day in this like one area of the park that if they don't have a ranger with them, only 40 people. So it's very few. So you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere and no one, but it's so cool. And there's just like a breeze going by and we just laid in this one pocket in the rocks for probably like an hour. Yeah. And like that was like the best part, but it's only because we went the extra little bit to see what was around the corner. And if we didn't, that honestly like that made that hike. Yeah. If we didn't check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to really like overturn every rock to see what's happening.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to put in that extra 1%.
Extra 1%.
Yeah.
So another question I want to ask you about since another thing I think it'd be fun to talk about is I know one of the other things we always like to do besides hiking is we love to do like whitewater rafting.
Absolutely.
So usually we'll have some pretty major hikes and then we'll do some sort of adventure activity. Maybe it's boating or a lot of times it's whitewater rafting. And we've done some really cool ones. One of the coolest ones was called, it was in Cherry Creek in Yosemite. And that is in whitewater rafting, the difficulty level goes by class, right? So class 1 is the easiest. Class 5 is the most difficult.
Class 5 of rapids.
Yeah. And we always go with a guide, obviously, and they help you. They know everything. So you raft and it's super fun. And this one in Cherry Creek was class 5, and it was all difficult rapids, like nonstop adventure, super intense. Like if you fall out, you're like, oh my God, this is actually pretty scary, right?
Yeah,
like you do not want to fall out.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and this is the only time we ever did this in a rafting trip where they did a safety test. The first part of the safety test was run that way for 100 yards.
Hated that.
They literally just said run that way.
Holding your breath.
Running while holding your breath?
That's what they did. You held your breath and you run up the hill.
I didn't hold my breath.
And that's because you weren't following directions.
Well.
You're lucky you didn't tip over. Fuck. I'm over here out of breath. And you're over
I don't know why you're not breathing. They didn't say not breathing. I think you heard that. I don't know where you heard that story. But anyway, so they say run, and the guy's barely paying attention. He's looking at his phone or something. And then the next part is we get on the raft, and you have to jump out of the raft and go under it and go to the other side. So to prove that if you fall into the water and the raft falls on you, you know how to like get out and not be stuck. And no one's ever done that before with us in terms of safety.
Yeah.
And the water is freezing.
It's 5:50 in the morning and the water is like 10 degrees.
Yeah, and we've been up since like 3:30 because it takes time to get to these places.
Yeah, your first moment of the water is you jumping in it under the raft in 10 degree in the middle of a rapid. I think they put you like in the rapid and you're like trying to, oh God.
Yeah. And they just like want to see how you react and make sure you're going to be cool. We all do it. It's fine, but it's definitely like exhilarating.
Yeah. I actually hated it. I love whitewater rafting. I hated that.
They hated that part?
Yeah. Jumping in the water before 6 in the morning is in a rapid, like swimming through the rapid. I was not happy.
The water is like 40 degrees or something.
Yeah. Good time. But that's what it takes. You got to make sure you're safe.
Yeah, you're prepared.
A real deal.
So that one was just like absolutely amazing.
Madness.
And that was last year. And then the funny thing I want to bring up is this year we've already kind of hit the apex of like whitewater rafting as far as we can in terms of like recreation, where like you're not a professional. Well, yes, we're pros. We're pros. But if you're not a full-time pro, we're more like part-time pros.
But if you're
well, if you're a anyway, so we go to these parks in southeastern Utah in Arches and Canyonlands, and we're looking for rafting. I find rafting is nearby. Just book it, sort of thing. And I know it's not going to be a class 5. I saw on the website it said class like 3, and I'm like, whatever, it'll still be fun. So we book it. We show up to this rafting office, and they're like, okay, we have to drive an hour and a half in the rafting office, right? Fine. So we drive an hour and a half, and there's a lot of people not a lot of people on this bus, but there's our group, which is like 5, and there's like 3 other people, and 3 other people, and they're only, when we get there, they start setting up a boat, just one. And usually when we go rafting, there's like our boat for like our group, and there's a couple other rafts with the other groups, and then there's usually some person behind them who's like gets off to take pictures, and they try to sell you the picture package, which we always buy.
Always. How could you not?
Yeah, you need the pics. And this rafting trip, like they tell us we're all in the one boat. And I'm like,
are we boating with like an 11-year-old? Because like
there was an 11-year-old.
Yeah, that doesn't sound that adventurous. I was like, where's the 11-year-old going?
Yeah.
She's like, on your boat. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and there's like 10 people on this boat or something. And I'm like, well, I don't understand. There's only 2 paddles in the boat, and they're like, "Oh, you don't paddle."
Like, are those for me and Matt, or like?
What's the guide gonna do?
Me and Matt need to be in the front of the boat. We are the captains.
We're the captains of the boat
of the rafting boat.
Yeah,
and then like there was no paddle for me. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and it turns out I booked what's called expedition rafting, which I didn't know existed.
It's sightseeing.
It's sightseeing. Like you're literally staying in a boat, and the guy paddles, and you just look at stuff. And I remember just looking around at everyone who I brought on this trip with me, who we go every year. And my brother-in-law is sitting with his hand on his head. I have a picture. He looks so bored and so upset. And we're all just like booked like a river cruise by accident. And we're like, this is not what we wanted. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely learned our lesson for booking in the future.
Yeah, definitely learned our lesson. But just like a really, really funny experience. And read the fine print, I guess. But I've never read a whitewater rafting website like ever, besides the class level.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Where are we at? 336. Okay, cool. All right, Dave. So I'm going to ask you now we talked about business. We talked about hiking. I'm going to ask you a couple like rapid fire questions. I think it'll be kind of fun. All right, you ready?
Sick.
Actually, these aren't even rapid. No, these are not rapid fire. Change your mind. Not rapid fire, but just a couple interesting questions.
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite snack? That made it weird when you did that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like the definition of a snack, but I love me some chicken wings to get the party started.
Okay.
Throw some buffaloes on there.
Complete this answer. I feel most alive when?
I feel most alive. I mean, hiking is definitely a place where in those adventurous moments when your heart's racing like crazy and you're looking at the world in just a different lens, that's definitely a clear moment of when I feel most alive. Yeah.
Would you rather spend 1 year at the North Pole or 2 years in the Sahara Desert?
And are either of those like Airbnb? Or are we?
No.
Am I like stranded?
No.
Like,
you're trying to survive.
I'm trying to survive. Well, I'll do the 1 year because 1 year versus 2
1 year at the North Pole
versus 2 years in a desert. I'm going with the 1 year.
I hear that.
It out.
You're getting eaten by a polar bear, but okay.
Sure.
What's one idea about business that you think the majority of people get wrong?
What's one idea about business?
Yeah, or running a business.
I have this like assumption that people think like if you become successful, there's like not problems, and like problems continue to exist no matter where you are in the journey. The problems actually get more challenging, and sometimes there's more at stake with each decision that you try to solve with. I think people like think everyone's just like living lavish once they're like successful and by any means of success, but there's always problems. And I don't think people realize like how challenging it is to run a business.
That's a really good one.
Mm.
What do you think your 13-year-old self would think of you now?
He'd be like, "Where's your hair, bro? Like I thought we were in this for the long term." No, he'd be hyped that like he gets to be creative and do business with the folks that he loves and is really giving it his all. Yeah, stay true to himself all throughout. You know, he'd be really proud.
All right, last one. Let me find a good one here. What's your biggest fear?
Definitely a lot of things come to mind there. You know, I really want to take care of my family. And I fear that like when it's really time that they need me for like resources, financial resources, and to really take care of them, that I wouldn't be able to provide to them the way they provided to me. It's really important that I can be a great son and brother and friend as I grow older, and I want to do that through all different resources. But like I want to have access to the things that they want to be able to do that they might not have access to otherwise, whether that's financially or through a network or something. I just want to give back to my family in a big way, and my biggest fear would be that I'm unable to do that when the time comes.
That's really good. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, man. Thanks
I have so many topics we did not talk about that I want to.
Yeah.
So next time we need to ride in New Jersey, we could do another episode.
Yeah, no doubt.
How do people find you if they want to contact you?
Yeah, on my Instagram, it's just my name, Dave Silver with 2 underscores. All things for Rec and learning more about Rec Philly, that's at joinrec.com, or you can follow us at Rec Philly on all the socials.
Awesome. And if you want help growing your martial arts business and you don't want to just spend money on ads, you want to learn how to build it organically, or if you want to track my journey and see how I started martial arts school from scratch, which I'm doing right now, you can find me on Instagram at blackbeltbrenner1 or email me matthew@doubleyourdojo.com if you want one-on-one support and coaching in order to help get you there. Thank you very much for listening. Bye, guys.
Double that dojo.